Hey, it's Regina here from Tarot and Time, joining you from our reading room here in Kent, Connecticut. We're going to jump into the month of April using tarot and astrology for everyday living. Now, this is the paperwork that I have for the month of April. Okay, there is a lot going on here. And so let's jump right into it. This is Aries season, and this is the month, I was saying last week in the video that this is the time, if you had a reading with me before, this is the time that I was pointing to when the energy really starts to pick up speed. Okay. Now, Aries is ruled by the planet Mars, and Mars is the planet of action. So we know that there's a lot of momentum, but we also have a lot of planets in Aries that haven't been together in Aries for a long time. Now, we know that Neptune moved into Aries recently. And the last time Neptune was in Aries was in 1861 to 1875. Saturn hasn't been in Aries since 1996. Saturn moves a lot faster than Neptune. But the last time Saturn and Neptune were close together in the sign of Aries at the same time was in 1703. So, and the last time that they were at 0 degrees of Aries together is said to be in 4361 BCE. Okay, so this is like craziness. It's crazy that these planets are in a position where they haven't been in forever. Okay, then this month is the month that Uranus, the oh wow planet, it's often called the disruptor planet or the genius planet. Uranus is going to move into Gemini. Now, this is a big deal because Uranus takes about 84 years to go around the chart. So it's kind of an honor in a way. As a Gemini, I'm a Gemini moon. Geminis are going to receive this planet of divine insight. And it's also often seen as the Tower card, breaking down structures that no longer work. But it's also seen as the Star card, our hopes, our dreams. So it's going to be a wild ride. There's a lot of unexpected whenever Uranus is involved, whether you're a Gemini or not. Okay. Taurus is kind of happy because Taurus is saying goodbye to Uranus, who's been dealing with it for the past 7 years. So now, as it gets to the end, right? Because as we begin the month of April, Uranus is at 28 degrees Taurus. So it's kind of getting to its full maximum potential in that sign. So Taurus, you can expect change and sudden opportunities, sudden bright ideas, and things can just break through for you. So Gemini's getting ready to receive that. So let's just jump in where we left off last month, because we went a couple days into the week and we left off on April Fools. So the first of the month, happy April Fools. April Fools is our 6th anniversary celebration here of our store in Kent, Connecticut. If you're in the area, stop by. We're going to be running all sorts of promos. So make sure you go over and check out our website, tarotintime, THYME.com, to learn more. Now, April 1st is the Libra full moon. So this is going to happen here on the 1st at 10:12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this is a 12-degree Libra full moon, often called the pink moon. It's going to be square Jupiter. So Jupiter makes everything bigger, and there's a abrasive action going on there. But this full moon is going to be trine Pluto, because Pluto's in the early degrees of Aquarius, an air sign, and Libra is an air sign. So this is called the relationship full moon. It's making a positive aspect with Pluto, which is power, and it's also sex. So this can be a really fabulous full moon. When Jupiter's squaring it, it's probably going to be one extreme or the other. Now, this full moon is going to be opposite, right? Because you got the sun on one side in Aries, and you've got the moon over there in Libra. That's a full moon, is always opposite to each other. So we've got all those planets in Aries. And when we start off the month, that's the sun. how we show up in the world. It's Saturn, the planet of responsibility, Neptune, which I often call the fairy tale planet, or the dreamy, creative, healing planet. Those planets are all going to be opposite the moon in Libra. And this is a relationship moon. So it's almost like relationships across from Aries, which is like you. Okay. And so there's going to be a lot about you and other people. And if you're looking for love, there's a lot of spicy energy there available on the 1st. Now, remember, the full moon doesn't just affect us that day. It's a few days before, a few days after. So if you don't have moon water out yet, make sure you do that. Just grab a bottle, maybe a mason jar, something clear and covered, and put it into a window and let it charge up with the rays of this full moon. Now, especially if you're single and looking for love, I like to write out an order to the universe and put it underneath the water, just kind of place it under the jar, and then it kind of infuses the water along with the moon rays. So if you're looking for a relationship, write it out, write your order to the universe, put it in a positive statement, and ask for how you want to feel. Now, we move into Thursday the 2nd, where the moon is going to be continuing in the sign of Libra. The moon will be opposite Chiron, because Chiron is hanging out in Aries. Now, Chiron is an asteroid, I believe, but in astrology, Chiron is referred to as your soul's wound point. So Chiron is finishing up its time in the sign of Aries. And for anybody, I was born with Chiron in Aries. So people born between like the early 1970s, mid 1970s, you're going to have Chiron in Aries. So you're having a Chiron return. And Chiron kind of comes back and it shows you that wound, but it can show you how much you've healed with it. So I'm finding my Chiron return, I'm starting to make peace with a lot of things that have happened. Now, this moon is going to be opposite that. So it may mirror some old wounds for you. Take a peek at what's coming up around Thursday the 2nd. Now, Friday the 3rd, the moon moves into Scorpio early in the morning, about 8 o'clock in the morning. And this is the moon in a water sign. And we already know that we have a couple planets in Pisces, water sign, and we have Jupiter, the planet of luck and blessings, in the sign of Cancer. So this is called a grand water trine. So there's going to be a lot of emotion floating around. Now, I wrote down 4-3 to 4-5, but this is kind of lasts a little bit longer than that. It'll affect us probably most of the week. So there's a deep understanding of all that happened during the month of February and March, because remember, we had a Mercury retrograde in the sign of Pisces. So now we've got all this water, and we'll start to understand a little bit more. We're coming out of the shadow period of Mercury retrograde. So we kind of got to look at everything from that way and then everything from that way. And then now we're going to get to see the full picture. Remember that gut feeling is going to be correct. And I think that's a statement always, but even more so pronounced right now as the moon enters the sign of Scorpio on Friday the 3rd. Now, let's see what else we've got. We've got a lot going on those days. We have Venus square Pluto. So Venus, let's see, where is Venus? Venus is hanging out in Taurus, and Pluto is hanging out in the sign of Aquarius. Now, they're both fixed signs, and they're both in early degrees of the fixed sign. So, Venus, love, relationships, values, harmony, money, square, 90-degree angle, Pluto, the planet of transformation and change. So sometimes this can bring about power struggles, especially in relationships. And we're talking about a relationship full moon week ruled by the sign Libra, which is a Venus-ruled sign. So be aware of the power struggles, choose harmony, be willing to change. That square is going to run from 4-3 to 4-10. Now, what else? There's so much. There's just so much going on. It's a Scorpio weekend. And Pluto's one of the rulers of Scorpio. Mars is also one of the rulers of Scorpio, and Mars rules the sign Aries. So there's a lot of Mars energy. Mars is the god of war in Greek mythology. There's a lot of feisty energy. Pluto is death and rebirth. So there's all this power. There's all this change. There's all this fresh energy of Aries coming in, and it's just intense. I feel like we went from all this Pisces that was kind of like watery and unclear and kind of slow moving, and now we're just full speed ahead. So be careful with the full speed ahead energy, that it's not argumentative. Use it for passion, use it for drive. Now, the moon is going to be trine Mercury in Pisces. That's a nice thing. So there'll be a lot of nonverbal communication. You may pick other people up, you might just sense other people. Maybe they call you or you call them, kind of thing. Now, the sun is going to be square Jupiter on the 5th, which is Sunday. And, Jupiter's all about optimism, like highly optimistic. So, it's great to be optimistic, but you also want to stay as grounded as you can with all of this watery energy going on. So let's pull a couple cards. So this is our Scorpio weekend, and we know, and this is our full moon week. Now, we're kind of building, because by the end of this month, as we move into the month of May, we're going to go into a Scorpio full moon. So we've got a lot going on we got a lot of Scorpio. We've got a lot of Mars. We've got a lot of Mars. Remember, Mars is the original ruler of Scorpio until they found Pluto. So, and Aries is ruled by Mars. So there's a lot of get up and go, but there's a lot of feisty energy. And we don't want our relationships to end up in fights, right? So we have to use the energy wisely. Now, I'm going to pick a couple cards for you, and I've got some great decks that I'm working with this week. I've been really enjoying the Wildwood Tarot, and it's very, I think it's Nordic. And so this is kind of a cool deck. I'll have a link to it below. I'm also working with the Medicine Woman Tarot, which, this has been a favorite of mine for a while, and it really didn't hit me until I recently visited Hawaii that this is a Hawaiian deck. So very, very cool. I actually thought it was a Native American deck, but I guess that was a correct statement too. It's just a Hawaiian version. Okay, then I have the Spirit of the Animals Oracle. I used my pendulum to pick these. It was very specific which ones wanted to be worked with today. I have the Everyday Witch Familiar Oracle. So let's give us a couple cards for this first full moon week, relationship week. Now, remember, Venus is the ruler of Libra, and Venus just moved into Taurus at the end of March. And that's a good spot for it because Venus rules Taurus. It's the second best placement for Venus. The best placement is when it's in its own sign of Libra. So we've got some great Venus energy, and we've got a Venus full moon, but we've got a lot of get up and go with a lot of Mars energy. So let's see what cards are coming up for you this week. So the first card is the Seven of Arrows, and this is from the Medicine Woman deck. Now, this is traditionally the Seven of Swords. And usually the Seven of Swords looks like somebody like tiptoeing around or like sneaking around. But I think this is interesting that they're actually having like a meeting here. They're sharing information. It looks like there's a lot of books behind them and maybe stories. Like it kind of feels like somebody sharing like a native story. Maybe it's a story that is helping these other people. There's some form of communication here, sharing some kind of legacies, sharing some kind of story, and that's very important here. Okay, so let's see how that plays in here. We've also got the Ten of Bows, which is the responsibility card. Now, this is the 10 of Wands traditionally, and we know the 10 of Wands often looks like somebody carrying lumber, and it looks like he's got a long hike up that mountain. So there's a lot of responsibility here, and it looks like there's kind of a team of people here helping, but sharing the history of how things have been done in the past. Now, your first oracle card says water number 9, and it's the beaver. And he's chomping on the tree there. He's trying to cut the tree down, make his dam. And I'm not really sure, but I think beavers mostly, do they live alone? I don't know. I usually see when I'm paddle boarding, I often see beavers by themselves. They obviously they have to come together with another beaver to have babies, but I get the vibe here like this is like somebody working hard on their own when the first card showed people gathering together. Now, this year, when we were talking about the chart of the year for 2026, it's a Libra rising chart. There was a lot of energy on one side of the chart that was the relationship side. So we know even if we're like independent creatures, maybe like this beaver, this is showing that you don't have to carry the heavy load all by yourself. Okay. It was a relationship full moon. It's asking you to work with others. Okay. Even if, sometimes I tell people like, working with others can even be just like working with AI or working with like an online program, something else that's going to assist you. Okay. Now, your other card is the hummingbird, and it says miracles. You are the joy bringer. You bless the world with positivity and love. Energy soars on your shining wings. Spread the miracle of happiness. And so we see 3 hummingbirds here working together. And hummingbirds defy gravity. I'm pretty sure science doesn't even understand how they fly. So there's like this magic happening, and you don't have to do it alone. Full moon, full relationship moon in the sign of Libra. Now, we're going to move into the next week, which is April 6th through April 12th. And we have the moon moves into Sagittarius because it moved in there in the evening on the 5th. So now we move into Sag after being in Scorpio, after coming down off of a full moon, which is always intense. And yes, it was a beautiful Venus full moon associated with the sign Libra, which has like more harmony and beauty to it. But we came into an intense Scorpio weekend. We're in intense Aries season. And now there's a positive aspect going on between the moon in Sagittarius and all those planets in the fiery sign of Aries. They work really well together. They're trining each other. So there's harmonious energy to take action, to get things done. Now, the moon is square Mercury, so we have to be careful about our words. But I just think we'll be busy doing our thing. Okay. So it's a good day to kind of just mind your business, do your thing, get on with it. The 7th, the moon continues in Sagittarius, so enjoy it. Then on Wednesday, the 8th, the moon will move into Capricorn early in the morning. Capricorn moons are a great time to get things done. And Mars is going to be sextile, positive aspect, with the planet Uranus, the great disruptor, the genius energy. Okay. Remember, everything in astrology is one extreme or the other extreme. Okay. So one planet can be the great disruptor, but it can also be the divine insight or bright ideas, newness. So on the 8th, Wednesday, be prepared for things to change. Okay. And the moon's in Capricorn, and Capricorn's not big on change, but Mars is sextile Uranus. Mars, the planet of action, working in a positive aspect with Uranus. So the plans may change, okay, but it may be for the better. So run with it. Now, on Thursday, 4/9, Mars switches signs. Mars leaves the watery sign of Pisces, which I believe is one of the worst spots for it because Mars wants to get moving and Pisces really slow and watery. So now Mars enters its own sign of Aries. So Mars enters Aries 4/9 through 518. And, if there wasn't enough planets in Aries before, now we have more. So we have the sun, Saturn, the planet of responsibility, Neptune, the planet of illusion, delusion, healing, creativity, Mars, the planet of action. That's 4 planets. And I believe we're going to have 5 pretty soon. So Mars enters Aries. So a lot of get up and go, get ready. Let's do this. Now, on Friday, the 10th, oh, wait, we have more stuff happening. So 4-9, last quarter moon in Capricorn. So I think the first quarter was in Cancer, and now the last quarter's in Capricorn. So Capricorn has a lot to do with endings. So something that has been long-term standing matter can find its closure during this last quarter moon on 4-9. Now, 4-10, continue in the sign of Capricorn, moon in Capricorn. And why do we talk about the moon? We talk about the moon because the moon is the minute hand of the clock. The moon is the fastest moving planet, okay? And so it affects our moods, as we know, as we see with full moons, right? And we know that the moon controls, women's cycles, and the moon, when it's full, makes people crazy. So we know it affects us, right? So we look at the moon to see what sign is it in. It changes signs every 2.5 days. It's going to change how we feel. So we might as well pay attention to it. It's kind of fun to pay attention and see like, oh, which day, do I feel good when the moon's in Capricorn? Do I have planets in Capricorn? And so it's kind of fun to do your own personal study about that. Now, on the 10th, the moon will move into Aquarius in the evening, right around 8:00 at night. Now it'll be in the early degrees of Aquarius. Well, what else is hanging out in the early degrees of Aquarius? We have Pluto there. I think it's at 5 degrees of Aquarius. And Pluto, transformation and change, death and rebirth, power. Okay, so the moon's coming along and it comes up along to Pluto in the, keep you guessing kind of sign of Aquarius. So change can happen. It can be intense. Sometimes it can be moody. The moon has a lot to do with our moods and Pluto's intensity. So we have the moon there on the 10th, and it continues there on the 11th. We have an Aquarius weekend. So who the heck knows what's going to happen? You just never know. Probably going to be a fun adventure, though. So on 4/11, the moon will be square Venus. So the moon in Aquarius rules friends and large groups of people. And when it's square Venus, sometimes we just need some alone time. So don't be afraid to voice if that is what you need, especially there on 4/11. May last another day or two for you, but honor it. If you need alone time, then you need alone time. Now, 4/12, the moon is in Aquarius, and it's going to be square Uranus, so 90-degree angle, with its own ruling planet, because Uranus rules the sign Aquarius. So I just put down expect the unexpected because you got so much Uranus going on and they're squaring each other. So I don't know who wins that battle, but Uranus is kind of on both sides of it. So remember, we're going to be heading to a new moon, but be flexible, be adaptable, and just deal with the changes that come in on 4/12. Now, let's get you a couple cards out for this big week. So, starting off with the moon in Sag, ending with the moon in Aquarius. And I always say that, I always thought Sagittarius was the most rebellious sign, maybe because I am a Sagittarius. But I found out, raising a daughter who is a double Aquarius, that Aquarius is actually the most rebellious sign of the zodiac. So a lot of that kind of rebellious energy, and I say rebellious with love because I think we need to rebel against a lot of the norms of society. And so there's a lot of stand up power, there's a lot of change, and there's a lot of breaking free energy. So your first card is the Wheel of Fortune here. This is a Sagittarius card. I like that it's a loom and they're making this t-shirt with a wheel on it. And so the wheel is like everything's in motion, right? Everything's being weaved together here. But the wheel, you only have so much control. Part of its message is that we have to surrender, that we only have so much control. But remember, it's a card of luck, blessings, and expansion. So we've got the wheel here. Your second card is the Apprentice of Stones, and this is traditionally the Page of Pentacles. So, he's kind of looking at this plant. Looks like there's a great harvest behind him. He's just kind of taking it all in. It's very beautiful. There's like a sense of connection to nature. And I love that the wheel too is out in nature. Okay. So, a lot of beauty there. Let's see what your oracles are. Speaking of beauty, you have the honeybee here. Air, number 5, honeybee. And you have the eagle, mastery. So it's almost like get out in nature, enjoy this. The honeybee, they're working as a team, right? We've had a lot last week during the Libra full moon about working as a team and not having to do everything ourselves, even though Aries will sometimes amplify that of wanting to think that we can do it all ourselves. But remember, that's the balance of Aries and Libra. They're across from each other, you and then you in relationship. So finding that balance. The eagle shows up. The eagle is very Scorpio related. I love how Scorpio is associated with so many different animals, right? The scorpion, the phoenix rising, the eagle, and there's another one, and I just forgot what it was. All right, well, it'll come to me. Okay. You are on a spiritual journey. Oh, the snake. Thank you. You are on a spiritual journey beyond the sky. Let go of the past and soar. You are guided by the winds of spirit. Your wisdom inspires the world. Wow, it's a lot of power there. A lot of movement because you got both of your animals are flying. Got some birds in the background there on the Wheel of Fortune. And so there's a lot of movement and it really looks beautiful to me. So enjoy the week ahead. Now we're going to move into the next week. And the next week is April 13th through April 19th. Now, this is a new moon week. We're going to have the new moon in Aries. And this is when you want to get your moon water out, especially on a new moon, because a new moon, is like the moon's at its darkest point. It's going to grow from there so we can start to make our statements to the universe about what we want to grow. Now, I like to say, place your order to the universe. I think you've heard me say that many times. So write out your order to the universe and you can ask, I'd like to feel this way. I'd like for this and this and this. So make a statement, maybe 4 or 5 things. Place it under your moon water. Let it charge up. Okay. So I would probably get my moon water out on Monday, the 13th, even though the new moon is on Friday. I like to do it a few days before and a few days after. Sometimes I sip out of it as I go because I usually do a pretty big jar. So Monday, the 13th, the moon moves into Pisces early in the morning. And we've got all these planets together in Aries. So Mars is together with Neptune. It's also together with Saturn and Mercury. And it's going to be trining Jupiter. So that's a good thing. So with Mars wants to take action. Neptune's the great healer. So it's a really good time to forgive, right? And hopefully forget. I know that's harder, especially if you have Scorpio placements, but forgiveness is in the air there on 4/13. Also, we have Venus making a positive aspect to Jupiter. So Venus is sextile Jupiter. So Venus, relationships, value, money, love, all those things, making a positive aspect to the planet of luck and blessings. So the power of attraction is super strong. So, again, if you're single, well, Venus is in Taurus right now. That's a good placement for it, especially if you are a Taurus or you have Venus in Taurus. There's a lot there about value and there's a power of attraction. And later in the month, we're going to move into a Scorpio full moon. There's a lot of lovely, passionate energy if it's used properly. Now, on Tuesday the 14th, the moon continues in Pisces. So if you need some rest, Monday and Tuesday into Wednesday morning are really good times if you can give yourself just a little bit more rest or get to bed a little earlier. Now, Mercury is going to enter the sign of Aries there on the 14th. And so Mercury is the planet of communication, and Aries is full speed ahead. And so you want to think before you speak. Okay. This is going to run until May 2nd. And so, you can get yourself into trouble. So make sure you think before you speak. Now, it kind of reminds me of like, I don't know, I've been watching a lot of videos on like budgeting and watching your money. And it's like, don't go online and buy that item right away, right? Let it sit in your cart for a day or two, or at least 24 hours, and make sure that it's still what you want. And I would do that with your words while Mercury is in Aries. Just kind of, okay, and then give it a chance. Make sure it's the right thing to do, because it's a little easy to fly off the handle. Now so now that Mercury entered Aries, we have 5 planets in Aries. That's 50% of the planets are in the fire sign of Aries. Now, we have one more thing on the 14th. We have Mercury sextile Uranus. So sextile's positive aspect, Mercury, the planet of communication, sextiling the genius planet Uranus, the lightning bolt of information, opportunity. And so there's going to be a lot of mental energy. Those are considered a lot of air energy. Okay. So heightened mental energy, but you got to make sure you stay calm. You got to make sure you stay grounded, and you don't want to just be all up in here. Okay. So take advantage of the energy, but make sure you take care of yourself through it. Now, on the 15th, the moon now enters Aries because we're heading to a new moon. So now we have 6 planets in Aries. That's a lot of Aries, I got to tell you. So 6 planets in Aries on the 15th, again, taking an opportunity to sleep in if you can. Now, remember also Chiron is in Aries, that wounded healer, and the sun and Chiron are right there together on top of each other on the 15th. And so it'll be, for a little bit before and a little bit after. So 26 degrees Aries on the 15th, Chiron and the sun. So, your soul's wounds are going to be shining bright to you. You'll know what needs to be worked on. Okay. There's some themes of aggression with Aries energy, especially with Chiron in Aries. So take a look at that and see how we can process that. Now, Thursday the 16th, Mars is going to be sextile Pluto. Sextile's positive aspect, Mars, the planet of action, sextiling Pluto, the planet of transformation. Both of these planets are considered the ruler of Scorpio. So sometimes when we get into these like heavy hitter energy of Pluto and Mars, it's like all or nothing attitude. But do know that you need to wait for middle ground, okay? Because things can get really intense. You don't need any fights. We do not need any wars. So Mars sextile Pluto, it's a positive aspect, but they're heavy hitter planets. So just kind of wait until things maybe feel a little bit less extreme. Use the drive that you feel towards positive change. Now, the 16th, Mercury, the planet of communication, is going to be conjunct together with Neptune. So there may be a lot of inspiration and there may be a lot of motivation because of the Aries energy. Mercury and Neptune, like, to me, that's like, I don't know, maybe dreaming up another chapter in a book you're writing. Mercury, mental energy, Neptune, creative energy, okay? Or maybe you go to a great therapy session and you talk out your feelings, okay? Take advantage of that energy there. Now, Friday the 17th is the new moon. It's at 7:52 a.m. on Eastern Standard Time on Friday the 17th, and in Aries, powerful change and new beginnings. So this new moon is square Pluto. So Pluto's like, don't forget, You want to start the new, but we've got that 90-degree angle going on. You want to start new, but don't forget that you got to clean up the old. Okay. And so Pluto is going to remind you of that. And Chiron is there and it's together with this new moon. And it's going to remind you of those wounds that need to be tended to. So this is an opportunity to drop some old baggage. So take advantage of it. Now, the 18th, Mercury plus Mars, Saturn, they're all kind of grouped together here, are sextile Pluto. So this, Pluto has a lot to do with like the hidden. So a lot of hidden agendas can be revealed there on the 18th. Again, this lasts a little bit longer than just the 18th. And Sunday, the 19th, Mars, we keep going back to Mars, the planet of action, is conjunct together with Saturn. So I put this picture of this car like wanting to screaming at the traffic light, slave to the traffic light, but you have to play by the rules because Saturn's the law. And it doesn't matter, you can go through that red light and you might not see a cop, but you probably get the ticket in the mail. So don't try to skirt around the law, the rules while Mars is conjunct Saturn because you won't win. Now, the sun moves into the beautiful sign of Taurus. I'm always saying I'd pay money to be a Taurus if I could. It's a beautiful fixed earth sign that knows its value, ruled by the planet Venus. So enjoy life, enjoy the beauty. Taurus rules the body. It rules all the adornments of the body. So it's a great giving you permission to go shopping, especially with us in Connecticut or online. But enjoy life. Taurus is Mother Earth, so it's nature, so it's flowers, it's stones, it can be jewelry, right? And it's the simple things sometimes, a home cooked meal. So enjoy the Taurus season that runs from 4/19 to 5/20. The same day the moon is in Gemini, so it's kind of social energy. So enjoy the social energy and enjoy maybe visiting some friends there on Sunday, the 19th. Let's see what card you get for this intense new moon week. Oh, this one's jumping out. Two of them jumped out. All right, let me give you one more, and then I will give you an oracle. And I always love when the cards jump out. I just find that so interesting how it has a mind of its own sometimes. Okay, got one there and one from the everyday witch familiar. Okay, let's see what the jumper ones were. We've got the Two of Vessels, which is the Two of Cups, which is often called the love card of the tarot deck, and it says attraction here. This very much reminds me of Beltane, and I was just doing a bunch of research about Beltane because Beltane's on May 1st, and Beltane was like the green man and the goddess, and it's like all about fertility, and there was a lot about like protecting their people's cattle, and so there was like a lot of fires burning, so there was things about protection, but there was themes of fertility also. So we see the Two of Cups showing up, and there's attraction, and hey, who's sad to see the Two of Cups? I don't think anybody. You also got the Six of Vessels, Six of Cups, and it says reunion. Okay, so, and we talked about forgiveness this week, and we have reunion. You also have the Totem of Arrows, the coyote, the four-leggeds. So the totem is the knight and the arrows is swords. So this is the Knight of Swords. You've got coyote energy here, and I don't know, it just feels primal and it feels intense. If you've ever seen a coyote, I mean, I don't know. I saw one time early in the morning walking my little dogs, and it was intense. I had to like step up and back away holding my little dogs. And they are a sight to see. I mean, they're just wild. I'm lucky that it was alone. So coyote energy, there's a keen primal sense to this, along with the attraction card and the reunion card. Your oracles are water, 3, frog. It's got this cute little frog there. It looks like a prince. And I guess that'd be a toad, but and then there's penguin, authentic. Reach out to your tribe in times of need. Family gives you strength when you face the storm. Love your uniqueness. You are full of surprises. Break free from others' expectations. Just be yourself. So, authentic energy, attraction energy, reunion energy, primal energy, and a lot of nature watery vibes here. Now we're moving into the next week, which is April 20th through April 26th. And now we're beginning to have more planets in the sign of Taurus. So this is nice because we had so much energy in Aries, and we still have a few planets in Aries, but it's starting to balance out a little bit more. Okay. So then we have the Sun in Taurus, we have Venus in Taurus, and we have Uranus finishing up its time in Taurus. Now, on Monday the 20th, the moon is in the social, expressive sign of Gemini. And Mercury is going to be conjunct Saturn. So it's going to be together with Saturn, the planet of responsibility. Also, Neptune's there and Mars is there. So I think this is a good opportunity to get some work done, to stay focused. If you have any writing to do or any reading to do or running numbers, good energy there on the 20th to get that done. Also on the 21st, the moon continues in Gemini until 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on the 21st. The 22nd, the moon will move into Cancer. Cancer is a cardinal sign, and cardinal signs square each other. So all those Aries planets are squaring the moon. Okay. And the moon in Cancer, it's in its own sign. It's a soft, nurturing, watery energy. It kind of has to do with the home. Also, Cancer rules marketing, which is interesting if you have some of that to do. But I would really advise you to get as much rest as you can while the moon is in Cancer, the 22nd, the 23rd, till 3:41 on Thursday, the 23rd. Now, the 23rd, Venus is conjunct Uranus. Okay, so Venus, love, relationships, money, self-value, all that kind of stuff, is together with the disruptive planet Uranus. And Uranus rules the sign Aquarius, and Aquarius is associated with friends. So we may have some things with other people, okay, together. Venus and Uranus. So there could be sudden changes in love or friendship or with our wallet. And remember, when I say it's the 23rd through the 24th, it's a little bit before and a little bit after also. Now, the other thing that happens on the 24th, well, let's go back to the 23rd first. So the moon starts getting close to Jupiter, the planet of luck and blessings, while it's in the sign of Cancer. And then the moon picks up some speed there when it moves into Leo later in the afternoon on Thursday, the 23rd. So you can get things done. So if you're able to take a little break there on, Tuesday afternoon, the 21st, into the 22nd, into the morning of the 23rd, whatever way that you can slow down a little bit would be helpful. Then it picks up speed there as the moon moves into Leo at 3:41 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursday, the 23rd. Also, remember, while the moon was in Cancer, Cancer is the mother, and the 22nd is Earth Day. So what better way to love your mother than to show up and help clean up? Now, the 24th, Friday, moon continues in Leo. Remember, Leo's a fire sign, so it's trining, making a positive aspect with all those planets in Aries. Then Venus makes its move from Taurus into Gemini. So Venus and Gemini is a fun placement. Venus and Gemini gets a bad rap. I think Gemini gets a bad rap in general, but Venus and Gemini is very social. So sometimes people think that Venus and Gemini can't commit. It's not true. They just like to have fun and they like the freedom of movement. So Venus moves into Gemini on 4/24 and it stays there till May 18th. So I wrote down get out and mingle, especially if you're single. Okay. This is the time that you want to do that, especially when the moon's in the fun loving sign of Leo. Okay. Rock star moon. And Venus conjunct Uranus, the other thing that can happen is things can just show up. Friend could introduce you to someone. There could be sudden changes, and sudden change, everybody goes to negative. It doesn't have to be negative. Okay, now the 25th, Saturday, the 25th. This is a day that people have been talking about for a while because this is the day that Uranus moves to Gemini. And, it was there a little bit. It was there briefly for a while. Let's see. Uranus entered Gemini. I know it had been there a little bit earlier, but now it's here to stay. All right. So this is a big deal because wherever Uranus is where the change is going to come. And Gemini has a lot to do with communication. And Uranus is like new technology. So this is kind of an example of AI. And we can imagine what is going to change by the time we get to 2033 when Uranus finally leaves Gemini. Okay. So this is a long spell here. And it's going to affect everyone, but it's going to affect Gemini and the mutable signs, Virgo, Pisces, and Sagittarius more, especially Sag because you're across from Gemini. So Uranus is related to revolution and change, Gemini, the communicator. And so I don't even know what to tell you. It's going to be change. It's going to be a lot of newness. Uranus is the genius. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. So Uranus to Gemini, 8:50 p.m. on the 25th. There's lots of Mercury energy. The moon's in the Mercury-ruled sign of Gemini. Yes, did I say that right? Uranus is in Gemini, Mercury ruled. And then the moon's going to move into Virgo that evening, which is Mercury ruled. So there's a lot of Mercury. Okay. A lot of Mercury hot and cold, Mercury, a lot of communication, and very social energy too. Now, Sunday the 26th, the sun and the moon are trining each other. It's Virgo energy. It's a great day to like clean your house and get things organized, maybe do some yard work and enjoy earthy stuff there on Sunday the 26th. So let me give you a couple cards for this big week ahead as Uranus makes its move into Gemini. And let's see, I'm going to give you another oracle here and a spirit animal oracle. Let's see what you need to know here. So the first card that came up is the Hanged Man, the Vision card here in the Medicine Woman deck. I love this version of the Hangman because you always see the Hangman hanging upside down. And this one, it's like she's seeing her reflection in the water. There's vision. And Neptune is in Aries right now, so things are a little bit more crispy clear, and we can kind of see what needs to be healed, what needs to change. There could be a lot of creative energy going on. Oh, you got the Wanderer here. This is the Fool card. This is what the whole tarot deck's about. This is Uranus energy. It's associated with the sign Aquarius. So there's a new path. There's a new journey. It's pretty exciting. The Wanderer. Your oracle here is Spirit 2 Unicorn. And I love the unicorn because I love how some people really believe in unicorns and think, that they're a real creature. And other people think that's crazy. And it kind of reminds me of the Fool card because the Fool, a lot of times people think the Fool's crazy for going off and doing what it's doing. So it's kind of almost like believe in your own magic here. Okay. And you've got the Lizard, regeneration. As a survivor, you are unparalleled. No matter what happens, you can adapt. Embrace your transformation. Put on your new cloak. You are a master of regeneration. We're going to move into the last week of April, and we're going to go a little bit into the month of May. So, now remember, this is like I've been saying this whole month is intense, but this is a wild week because this is a full moon week, and it's not just any full moon week. This is a Scorpio full moon week. And it's Beltane, and it is May Day, and we're going to end this week with a Scorpio weekend. So, wow, this is an intense time. I love Scorpio. I love the Scorpio full moon, but the theme is transformation and change. Beltane is a theme of protection and fertility. It's an old pagan celebration. So let's jump right into this week ahead. So, Monday the 27th, the moon continues in the sign of Virgo, the mutable earth sign. So, Virgo's related to routines, habits, and schedules. So, there's a lot of energy there. Now, Tuesday the 28th, we have the moon trining Venus. So, the moon is in Virgo, earth sign. Venus is in Taurus, earth sign. So enjoy the beautiful day there on Tuesday, the 28th. Now, the 29th, Wednesday, we have Venus square the lunar nodes. So the nodes are not planets, but they're angles of the moon. And there's a lot there about what we need to learn at the time, whatever sign is the node, north node is in. We're going to see critical choices in love, money. It's going to reveal itself to us. So pay attention to what is coming up around the 29th and 30th. Now, speaking of Venus, the moon's in Libra, a Venus ruled sign. So there's a lot of harmony and balance there, 29th and 30th. And then we move into the sign of Scorpio. Okay, so this is when things get really wild. Scorpio, intense, deep water sign, power, transformation, and change. The moon moves into Scorpio on Thursday the 30th, 3:02 p.m. We're heading to the full moon in Scorpio on Friday. So, things are going to be shown to us. We're going to be able to see clearly. The full moon shines brightly. Make sure you have your moon water going. This is going to be an intense one. So if you're going to sit any moon water out, maybe it's this one. Although I'm ready for it. I love Scorpio full moons. I know that there is a huge theme of transformation in there. Now, this full moon peaks on Friday, the 31st at 1:23 p.m. This is called the pink moon. And I love that it also lands on Beltane. Okay. Now, Beltane, the little bit I know, we think of it as May Day, right? But Beltane is the pagan holiday where, everybody's been inside for a long time for the winter. Everything's starting to thaw, everything's starting to come to life. And so there was these traditions here. And I guess this is a Gaelic tradition, and they would light fires and they would have like two bonfires going. And Beltane actually means bright fire. And they would be celebrating the height of spring. And there would be themes of fertility and fire and earth in full bloom and fertility and protection. And I think by the end of Beltane, there was a lot of babies that were going to show up. So I wrote down for the full Scorpio moon, I am reborn in the fires of my ancestors. And I was looking up quotes that would go along with Beltane. And this is the one that just jumped out at me. Because to me, Scorpio is your ancestor. Scorpio is the other side. And so here we are. I am reborn in the fires of my ancestors. So sometimes a Scorpio full moon is a great time to get some pictures out of your ancestors, those you want to connect with. And this is an 11-degree Scorpio full moon, which equals 2. So to me in numerology, that's like a relationship number. And I would get out someone you want to connect with, your ancestors there to guide you forward, to help protect you. The Scorpio full moon is all about transformation and change, as Scorpio always is. I find it really interesting that this Scorpio full moon is square Pluto, the ruler of Scorpio. So there is no getting around this, what needs to be transformed here. It's also going to be square Mars, its other ruling planet, original ruling planet of Scorpio. Okay, so Jupiter's involved. There's a trine with Jupiter. Jupiter makes everything bigger. So we are going to be able to see pretty clearly what needs to go, what needs to change, where your powers, maybe someone who's taking your power, where you're giving it away, how to get that energy back, free yourself up from the things that are holding you back. Do this with kindness and gentleness and love. But sometimes the word no really needs to come into play in these kind of situations. Please be gentle, because there's a lot of Aries energy and we don't need things to get any feistier than they already are. If you're going to burn a bonfire, make sure it's safe wherever you are to burn that. And if you can't, maybe just light a candle inside, okay? And really honoring this full moon and honoring the feelings that come up during it, and allowing some of this past stuff to heal and asking for help from your ancestors. So what a wild, wild full moon it will be. So we end the month with 1, 2, 3, 4 planets in Aries plus Chiron. We have, what else do we have? We have the sun in Taurus, and then we have a couple planets in Gemini. So things are like the planets, like the scrunch that we've been in for a long time. Because for a while there, we were really scrunched together in Pisces and Aries. Now it's starting to spread out a little bit more. We'll have a little bit more balance in our lives. Now, keep in mind, this full moon is going to affect us like many days before the first, many days after. We're going to continue in a Scorpio weekend. And on Saturday, May 2nd, Mercury, the planet of communication, is going to move into the grounded, fixed earth sign of Taurus. This is a great time for financial planning. There's a lot of stable energy there. Long-term thinking, okay? Thinking about the bigger picture. And so take advantage of this period. The moon continues in Scorpio until 2:33 a.m. So by the time you get up, the moon will move into Sagittarius. It'll be lighter energy. Sagittarius wants to get up, get moving. Sag is a fire sign, so it'll be trining, positive aspect to all those Aries planets. And Venus and Uranus, let's see if I can read my own notes here. Venus and Uranus are in Gemini, and Gemini is across from Sagittarius. So there'll be a lot of activation of that energy with Venus in the early degrees of Gemini and Uranus at 0 degrees of Gemini. So there may be a little bit of like do your own thing energy there on Sunday the 3rd, but I think it'll be pretty positive energy. And coming down off this intense Scorpio weekend, you might just need some alone time. Go do something fun on Sunday the 3rd. So let's get a few more cards out for you. What you need to know this really big, full Scorpio moon week. And I've got 2 oracles here for you. Let's see what we've got, what you need to know as we get through this wild month of April. Your first card is the Ancestor card. I didn't look at any of these, okay? I don't look ahead at any of these. So this is actually the Hierophant here, card number 5. I think they use this on the cover of the box. Yeah, I love this. Isn't that pretty? So you've got the Ancestor card here. I was just talking about ancestors. I swear you can't make this stuff up. Beating the drum here, calling them in. And so we have ancestors arriving for you to connect with there. You have the Nurturing Lodge of the Bulls. This is I wanted to say it's the 10 of Cups, but I actually think it's the Queen of Cups. So you've got your whole village there, your whole family there. So your ancestors here, your family, all this energy just really connecting with you. The Queen of Cups would be a Scorpio queen. Okay, so there's a lot of power here. You've got the Fire 6 Chameleon card. which is kind of cute. Looks like a mad scientist. And the lion, higher calling. You have you have within you all the courage you need. Let go of the past and reclaim your majesty. You will find success and contentment with those by your side. Make noble choices for your life and your tribe. That's cool because there was the tribe there with the nurturing lodge of the bulls. And there it says again, let go of the past. And that's what the whole Scorpio moon is about. And it's interesting, the chameleon. So I'm just going to look up the chameleon because I'm not really sure. I know he changes colors and he tries to fit in wherever he goes, right? But the lion is not going to try to fit in anywhere. The lion is just going to be the powerful creature that it is. It says the chameleons are types of lizards known for their ability to change the color of their skin, both for defense by blending into their environment and for communication with others of their kind. Scientists only recently figured out that this is done through the manipulation of tiny nanocrystals in the top layer of a chameleon's skin, or maybe it's just magic. They represent adaptability, flexibility, and the gift of blending in when necessary. Now is the time to stand out. Now is not the time to stand out. Instead, it might be better to fit in with the crowd while still quietly doing your own thing when no one is watching. Perhaps the universe is telling you to go with the flow, adapting to your circumstances, and being flexible in the face of life's many challenges. Be willing to change when things change around you, and you'll do fine. Interesting. So a lot of themes of change here. It doesn't have to be like in your face change, right? You don't have to go bragging to other people about your change. This is internal work. You've got a higher calling here. Your ancestors are calling for you, and pretty cool cards that came out. So thank you for joining me for the month of April, a little bit into the month of May, and we'll talk more soon and jump into more about the month of May. So thank you for joining me.